Hello, my name is Melissa Finger, and I am so happy that you're joining me today. Today is the 1 year anniversary of my fiction book, More Than Meets the Eye, being released. Remember last December, I was really unsure if it was going to be out in time for Christmas or not. It was cutting it close, but it's all in God's timing, so it was good. I was excited to have it finally published after many years of working on it. And the feedback about this first book has just been incredible. So many people have enjoyed it, and also the Lord has used it to minister to a lot of people in some interesting ways. So, today, in celebration of that 1 year anniversary of this book coming out, I wanted to give you a sneak peek into the second book called War Strategy that hopefully will be released this spring. So, let me jump right in and I will start reading. War Strategy, Chapter 1. The room was empty except for a green chair and light coming from an unknown source. Cindy looked around, unsure what to do. As her eyes scanned the area for the source of light, she dropped into the plush chair. It was cozy, but she didn't notice. She also didn't notice the smoke that had started rolling into the room. At first it was white and wispy, but after a few moments it turned gray and caught her attention, then darker, then black. The billows were rolling faster now, and it had Cindy's full attention. She searched for the light in the room as her feet instinctively pulled up into the chair. The smoke must be blocking the light, she thought. Cindy felt as if she was being consumed by the chair. What once was cozy began to feel like a suffocating trap. One last billow of black smoke rolled into the room, and she jumped up with a start. Cindy blinked and looked around. She was sitting up in her bed now. Sweat was beading on her skin, and she could feel her heart beating through her pajamas. She clutched the blanket and glanced at the clock on the nightstand. 3:20 a.m. Her back gave way and she slumped back down into the bed. Oh, another dream. When will they stop? She rolled over on her side. Her heart was still beating faster than normal. Gabe, an angelic warrior who occasionally served with the angels assigned by the Most High God to guard over Cindy, was observing nearby. She is still having nightmares? He commented. Yes, Michael, the lead angel assigned to Cindy, replied. The Lord is revealing something to her. What? Gabe inquired. Raybach replied without taking his eyes off Cindy. We don't know. She hasn't shared the dreams with anyone, so we don't know the content. We only know they are being used by the Lord somehow, because we can sense his presence while she is sleeping. Salih explained. She is getting what she needs, and the Lord will give us what we need as we need it, Michael interrupted. Stay alert. We don't want any unwelcome visitors trying to hijack her sleep. The others nodded and followed their leader's instructions. Raybach and Salih stayed close to Cindy as she drifted back off to sleep. As her ministering angels, they could aid her in sleep and help her process her intense emotions. Her dreams had become more and more frequent, and she had been avoiding sleep as much as possible. Much to her despair, her sleep deprivation was making it impossible to stay awake, even after one of the dreams. As the sun rose above Cindy's home, Raybach allowed her to continue to rest. Around 10 a.m., Cindy began to stir. As she opened her eyes, an image of the dreams flashed through her mind for just a second, and then they were gone. She sat up in bed and looked around the room. She was awake, but she wanted to be sure. Can't keep having nights like this, she muttered to herself. She checked the clock, groaned, and threw her feet on the floor. Her body felt numb, as did her mind. Her head dropped into her hands. She could feel her eyes burning and a steady pounding in the back of her head. Why is this happening? A voice in her head asked. I thought we would be better now. It had been 6 months since Cindy had received the most powerful vision ever while sitting in her therapist's office. She knew it was God's way of giving her purpose. She just didn't know what to do with it. As she climbed out of bed and wobbled into the kitchen for coffee, she replayed parts of the vision she had seen in Mary's office. The pictures of the strands of colorful DNA being covered with grime and darkness, then cleaned by the Holy Spirit, then appearing stronger and brighter than ever before, kept cycling through her mind. There was a peacefulness about the pictures and a curiosity as to what they really meant. Cindy gave her head a shake and prepared her breakfast. The coffee wasn't hot enough or strong enough. She glanced out the back window as she crossed the kitchen. The birds were chirping outside. It was spring. The blooms on her apple tree in the back were starting to appear, and she could see some of the young trees in the neighbor's yard starting to produce leaves. It was going to be a pretty spring. Cindy sat at her favorite spot in the kitchen. The small wood table was a comfort to her. It was the first piece of furniture she owned when she moved out of her parents' house. 55 Treasures was the name of the antique store where she found it. Her fingers ran along the edge. It was smooth, with the exception of a few divots where time had had its way with the piece. For years she had wanted to paint it a fun color, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. Something about the old wood, the scratches, the worn appearance made it seem reliable, like it had survived a lot, and if it had survived, maybe she could survive too. Okay, that's about half of the first chapter, and that's all you get for today. I am super excited for you to find out what happens with Cindy on her healing journey in this next book, War Strategy. So stay tuned on wherever you're watching this, on my YouTube channel, I'm assuming. You can visit my website as well, melissafinger.com, and there you will find all the latest information on the new book, second to More Than Meets the Eye, War Strategy. And if you haven't read this book yet, Cindy did have a very powerful vision at the end of this book, and that vision will be intertwined into War Strategy. So you want to make sure you've had a chance to get a copy of More Than Meets the Eye and read it through before spring, when hopefully War Strategy will be released. Thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and thank you for celebrating our first anniversary with me today.